In 1999, marketing expert Seth Godin watched the internet explode, realizing the greatest resource of the new economy would not be money, but the one thing that was instantly becoming scarce: attention. Now, just think about that for a second. For the very first time in human history, the cost to broadcast a message to the entire world dropped to pretty much zero. This wasn't just a small step forward, it was a total game changer. And this single observation, this one idea, would set the stage for a framework that completely redefines what it means to matter in our incredibly crowded world. So how did he do it? Let's get into it. You see, what Godin spotted wasn't just a new gadget or some new tech. It was a deep, fundamental shift in how we all communicate. Before the internet, getting a message out was crazy expensive. You had to buy a TV ad, print thousands of flyers, get a billboard. The main obstacle was always money. But suddenly, anyone could shout their message for free. And the result? Well, it was a tsunami of noise. Every single company, every person, every creator was yelling for attention. And that's the world we're still living in, a constant battle for just a few seconds of focus. The old ways of getting noticed, what we used to call marketing, were dying fast. All that stuff built on interrupting people's lives was becoming the equivalent of screaming into a hurricane, totally pointless and just exhausting for everyone.
And this really gets us to the heart of the problem that Godin identified, the crisis that sparked his entire philosophy. You know, we are moving from an economy of money, where the biggest budgets won, to an economy of attention, where the most interesting, most trusted ideas were going to win. This wasn't some tiny tweak, it was a complete paradigm shift. And what's really wild is how few people actually saw it happening. The business world was, for the most part, completely unprepared. They were still playing by the old rules, thinking that if their message wasn't working, well, they just had to shout it louder.
Okay, so this slide just nails the difference between the two worlds. On one side, you've got interruption marketing. Think of it as the uninvited guest at the party, the pop-up ad that blocks what you're trying to read, the telemarketer who calls at dinner time. It basically operates on the idea that it can force its way into your life. It's selfish, really. Godin saw this was a losing game, but on the other side, you have permission marketing. This is all about being the expected, welcome guest. It's that newsletter you actually look forward to, the podcast you choose to download. It's a relationship, right? It's built on trust, and you have to earn the privilege of someone's attention. You don't just take it.
So staring down this crisis of noise, Godin made his move. He didn't just write a blog post. He wrote a full-on manifesto. Permission marketing was his declaration that there was a new way forward. At a time when companies were just pouring billions into bigger, louder, more annoying ads, he laid out this really radical idea. The future doesn't belong to the loudest, it belongs to the most trusted. This book basically set the foundation for everything he would do next, arguing that before you sell anything, you have to earn the right to even have a conversation. It was a battle plan for a new kind of marketing, one built on respect.
So you have to wonder, where did this drive to go against the grain come from? Well, it wasn't just some abstract theory he came up with. It was actually forged in the fires of corporate America, where he saw, firsthand, the incredibly powerful forces that push everything towards being just average. His philosophy was a direct answer to what he saw happening inside one of the biggest companies of the internet boom.
I mean, look at Godin's resume. It's top tier. Tufts, a Stanford MBA, these are credentials that usually lead to a pretty standard corporate career. And for a while, that's exactly what happened. He landed a huge role as a vice president at Yahoo, which at the time was an absolute giant. This put him right at the epicenter of the digital explosion. He wasn't some outsider looking in. He was deep inside the machine, seeing exactly how it worked, its strengths, and its massive systemic flaws.
And inside that machine, he found the real enemy of success in this new attention economy. It wasn't a lack of money or talent. He called it the lump in the middle. He saw this powerful corporate instinct to always chase the safe, the average, the idea that everyone could agree on. You've been in meetings like this, right? A bold idea gets brought up, and what happens? It gets watered down, the risky parts get shaved off, all to appeal to the widest possible audience and offend no one. But in doing that, they were creating products that were boring, uninspired, and worst of all, completely invisible. That obsession with mass appeal, he realized, was a guarantee of being ignored.
So, if being safe and average makes you invisible, what's the alternative? Well, this is where Godin's most famous idea comes into play. Picture this. You're driving down a country road and you see cows. Brown cows, black and white cows. After a few minutes, you don't even see them anymore. They're just scenery. But what if all of a sudden you saw a purple cow? You'd slam on the brakes, you'd pull out your phone, take a picture, you would tell everyone about it. The purple cow became his amazing metaphor for the only thing worth making, a product, a service, an idea, so remarkable, so new, that it forces people to stop, pay attention and talk about it.
And this wasn't just a clever catchphrase. It became the absolute core of the Godin Framework. It's not some tactic you just tack on at the end, like a flashy ad. It's a mandate. It's a belief system that has to be baked into the very DNA of an idea right from the start. It means you have to ask at every single stage, is this remarkable? Is this a purple cow, or is it just another brown cow? It's a whole philosophy for getting a real, sustainable advantage in a world that just defaults to boring.
And right here, this is the core thesis of that whole philosophy, laid out plain and simple. Difference is the only sustainable competitive advantage. Just let that sink in. Not a lower price, not more bells and whistles, not a bigger ad budget. Why? Because anyone can copy your features. A competitor can always undercut your price. A bigger company can always outspend you. Those are all temporary. But being truly, authentically different, now that is much, much harder to copy. This makes being remarkable not just some creative choice, but a fundamental strategy for survival.
So how do you actually do this? Godin boils it down into 3 pillars that all work together. First, the purple cow mandate, which we just talked about. The thing you make has to be remarkable in and of itself. Second, permission, not interruption. The way you talk to your audience has to be earned and relevant. You talk with people, not at them. And third, and this one is so critical, is the art of shipping. You have to prioritize action, getting your ideas out into the world instead of waiting for some mythical moment of perfection that honestly just paralyzes most of us.
Okay, this brings us to such a crucial part of the framework. Because it's one thing to have a great philosophy, right? But it's a whole other thing to actually live it, day in and day out. Godin turns his ideas into reality through a set of super disciplined, non-negotiable habits. This is where we go from the inspiring what to the practical how. This is the engine that makes the whole thing run.
His main system is actually deceptively simple, but it is incredibly powerful. The daily idea generation and publishing protocol. Godin has a routine that he does not break. Every single day, for decades, he writes and publishes a blog post. Now, this isn't about trying to go viral or writing a perfect masterpiece every time. It's a systematic commitment to that art of shipping. It's a practice. It forces him to constantly think of new ideas, get his thoughts straight, and put his work out there, no excuses. And over time, that builds an incredible library of work and a deep, trusting relationship with his audience.
Just let this number sink in for a minute. Over 7,500 consecutive days. That's more than 20 years. Think about everything that's happened in that time. Holidays, vacations, good days, bad days, days with tons of inspiration, and days with absolutely none. The streak continues. This isn't just about work ethic. It's the living, breathing proof of his philosophy. It is a radical commitment to consistency. It's the ultimate evidence that the way you become a prolific creator is by having a system that forces you to create and to ship every single day, no matter what.
And the second core habit is a strategic rejection of that lump in the middle. Instead of trying to be for everyone, his system demands this ruthless focus on the smallest viable audience, or SVA. This is the core group of people who are going to get the most out of what you do, your true fans, the ones who really get it. A purple cow isn't remarkable to everybody, it's remarkable to the people who are sick and tired of brown cows. By designing everything for them, you create something they love so much that they become your marketing department, spreading the word with an authenticity that no ad budget could ever buy.
So when you put it all together, this philosophy of being remarkable, combined with these disciplined systems of shipping and serving a core audience, you get this incredible transformation. This is the story of how Godin went from being a corporate VP fighting against the system to a visionary who didn't just play by the new rules, he actually wrote them.
This timeline just lays out that journey perfectly. He starts with a traditional path, Stanford MBA, big corporate job at Yahoo. He's on the fast track to conventional success. But instead of just climbing that ladder, he sees the problems from the inside and makes this incredibly courageous pivot. Publishing permission marketing was that turning point. From there, he stepped outside the traditional system to become one of the most important voices in business. He built his own platform, becoming a world-renowned author and thought leader. He didn't just leave the corporation, he built a whole new model for what influence looks like.
So, what's his lasting impact? Well, his legacy is really a new blueprint for what an enduring brand needs in our modern age. First, creative courage. The willingness to be different, to make that purple cow even when the safe option is right there. Second, strategic generosity. That's the daily blog. It's the practice of consistently giving away your best ideas to build trust and authority. And third, a strategic rejection of the mass market. This is the ultimate proof that real power isn't in being liked by everyone, but in being absolutely essential to a dedicated few.
And this is where the whole thing turns from being his story to being your story. Because these principles, the Godin Framework, they aren't just for famous authors. They are a mandate for anyone, an artist, an entrepreneur, a creator, anyone trying to do meaningful work in a world that just keeps getting louder. These are the tools for your own fight for relevance.
I mean, this is the big question we all face, isn't it? In our jobs, in our creative projects, in our businesses. When everyone is yelling, how do you get heard? When there are a million choices, how do you earn the attention that your work actually deserves? Godin's framework doesn't offer some magic trick, but it does give us a clear, actionable answer.
The answer starts right here. It begins with a fundamental shift in your goal. Stop trying to be everywhere for everyone. That is the path to being average, to becoming part of that invisible lump in the middle. And there's a real freedom in letting that goal go. Instead, commit to being essential for someone, for your smallest viable audience. The goal isn't to be noticed by the masses, it's to be missed by the few. Be so valuable to them that they can't imagine a world without what you do.
So here it is, your mandate, your 3-step action plan straight from the framework. 1. Be remarkable. Adopt the purple cow mandate. Look at your work, your next project, and ask yourself, where am I playing it safe? Find those spots and dare to be different. 2. Ship consistently. Create your own version of his publishing protocol. Fight that creative inertia by committing to a rhythm of putting your work out there. And 3. Serve your SVA. Figure out who they are, understand them, and dedicate yourself to delighting them.
In the end, Seth Godin built an entire empire of ideas on this one profound truth. In the attention economy, the riskiest thing you can possibly do is play it safe. The safest thing you can do is be different. The Godin Framework is so much more than a marketing strategy. It's a blueprint for relevance. It proves that differentiation, consistency, and permission are the keys to making a real impact, because it all comes down to this one simple rule. The greatest barrier to success is being invisible.